The poor inmate's daughter only had $5 for a date. The single dad CEO at the next table watched her every move as she opened the text that would change everything. Wait, you actually showed up? LMAO, I was just messing around. Look, no offense, but a convict's kid isn't exactly what I'm looking for. Good luck though. Sarah Martinez, 23, felt her stomach drop as she read the message for the third time. Her hands shook holding the beat-up phone with its cracked screen, the same one she used for her overnight delivery gigs to pay her way through nursing school. The restaurant around her suddenly felt hostile. Every laugh from other tables sounded like mockery aimed at her. Every server who walked by seemed to judge the young Latina who'd arrived right on time at 7 p.m., wearing her only decent dress, a simple black piece that had belonged to her mom before everything went sideways. Across the dining room, David Chun watched the scene with growing outrage. The 34-year-old CEO of a medical tech company had brought his 6-year-old daughter Emma out to dinner after another brutal day of meetings. But something about the posture of the young woman in the corner booth made him temporarily forget his own problems. David recognized that look. The same one he'd seen in the mirror for 3 years after discovering his wife had cheated with his best friend and business partner, taken half his assets, and tried to destroy his reputation. The difference was he'd had the resources to fight back. This girl clearly didn't. Sarah took a deep breath and checked her 5 crumpled bills again. Barely enough for a Coke, but she had to order something to justify staying. What hurt most wasn't even the money, it was believing that Marcus, the guy from the dating app, actually wanted to get to know her. For 3 weeks, he'd sent sweet messages, asked about her studies, pretended to care about her dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse. She'd even told him about her father, serving time for a crime he swore he didn't commit. Marcus had seemed understanding, different from the others who ghosted once they learned her background. But here she was, once again proof that people like her didn't deserve good things. At least that's what life kept hammering into her. What Sarah didn't know, Marcus had posted screenshots of their conversations in a WhatsApp group called Poor Girl Hunters, where he and his private school buddies competed to see who could catfish the most desperate chicks for entertainment. And what she definitely couldn't see coming, David Chun was about to make a decision that wouldn't just change this humiliating night, but set in motion a chain of events that would show Marcus there are consequences when you mess with someone's dignity. While Sarah fought back tears in public, something in her eyes caught David's attention. It wasn't just sadness or humiliation. There was a flame of determination that refused to go out, even facing this pointless cruelty. A quiet strength he recognized in himself, the same one that had helped him rebuild his life after that devastating divorce. If you're wondering how one cruel text can wake up forces nobody sees coming, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes what looks like the end of a story is just the beginning of a plot twist that changes everything. While Sarah tried to process the humiliation, her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Marcus. It was an Instagram notification showing she'd been tagged in a photo. The blood froze in her veins seeing the image, a screenshot of her chat with Marcus, posted to the story of an account called Broke_Hunters. The caption read, "Mission accomplished. The jailbird's daughter actually thought someone like me would date her. Guys, you need to see the pathetic messages she sent about her innocent daddy behind bars. Ha ha ha." The post already had 47 likes and dozens of mocking comments. Sarah recognized some names, classmates, people she nodded to in hallways. Now everyone knew about her background, her financial struggles, her naivety. Marcus Reynolds, 25, son of a federal judge and grandson of a senator, was currently at a party in his downtown penthouse. Surrounded by equally privileged friends, he proudly showed off how he'd trolled another desperate girl. To him, people like Sarah were just free entertainment. "Dude, you see the kicked puppy face she must be making right now?" laughed Jake, his best friend and co-founder of the Poor Girl Hunters group. "Bet she's crying in some nasty public bathroom." Marcus took another sip of his $1,000 whiskey and grinned. "Best part is she'll probably delete all her social media from embarrassment. These trashy people always make everything so dramatic." What Marcus didn't know, David Chun had just seen the same post. And as CEO of a tech company with Silicon Valley connections, he had resources Marcus couldn't even imagine existed. Sarah stayed seated for another 15 minutes, even after discovering she'd become social media's laughingstock. Not because she didn't know where to go, her tiny apartment on the outskirts waited, shared with 2 roommates, but because something inside her refused to run away. Her mother always said, before dying of cancer without being able to afford proper treatment, Mija, dignity isn't something others can take from you. Only you can give it up. And Sarah had decided she wouldn't give it up. That's when the server approached with a plate she hadn't ordered. Butternut squash soup with artisan bread, plus a salad and fresh juice. "Sorry, but I didn't order this," Sarah murmured, checking her $5 again. "It's compliments of another customer," the server replied kindly. "He asked me to tell you that some people deserve kindness, especially when the world insists on being cruel." Sarah looked around and her eyes met David's, who gave a discreet wave while Emma, his daughter, colored a picture beside him. There was no pity in his gaze, just mutual respect. At that moment, David made a decision that would change the course of coming events. Discreetly, he texted his assistant, "Need a complete file on Marcus Reynolds. Academic history, family background, legal vulnerabilities. And I want everything on this poor girl hunters group. By tomorrow." Sarah ate slowly, savoring not just the food but this unexpected kindness. For the first time in hours, she smiled. And while she ate, an idea began forming in her mind. Marcus thought he destroyed her dignity, but actually he'd done something much worse for himself, completely underestimated who she really was. What neither of them knew, this night would mark the beginning of a chain of events that would teach Marcus there are consequences when you turn other people's pain into entertainment. 3 days later, Sarah was in the computer lab at school when she got a call from an unknown number. "Sarah Martinez? This is David Chun. I'm CEO of MedTech Solutions. I noticed your academic profile and I'd like to offer you a full scholarship, plus a paid internship at our company." Sarah almost dropped her phone. "Sorry, but, is this for real? I didn't apply for anything like this." "It's very real. Could we meet in person? There's something I need to discuss with you about your situation, and about certain people who think they can humiliate others without consequences." When they met at the cafe near campus, David got straight to the point. "I was at the restaurant the night you were humiliated, and I discovered some things about Marcus Reynolds you need to know." He opened a laptop and showed screenshots from the poor girl hunters group. Sarah went pale seeing dozens of conversations where Marcus and his friends planned fake dates with needy girls. There were photos, prints of intimate conversations, even victims' personal addresses. "There are over 50 women," David explained with contained anger. "All low-income students, workers, immigrants." He and his friends turned this into a sick game. Sarah felt a mix of nausea and rage. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you weren't just a random victim. Marcus specifically chose you after finding out about your father. He wanted to prove to his friends he could break even someone who'd already suffered so much." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but not from sadness. It was pure outrage. "And you want what exactly? For me to sue him?" David smiled for the first time. "No. I want you to destroy him. But intelligently." He explained his plan. His company developed data analysis software for healthcare systems. With the tech resources available, they could track every digital activity of Marcus and his crew, compile evidence of their crimes, stalking, digital harassment, defamation, and serve it all to the proper authorities on a silver platter. "But there's one problem," David continued. "For this to really work, we need someone on the inside. Someone Marcus trusts enough to completely expose himself." Sarah understood immediately. "You want me to go back to him? I want you to pretend you came back broken and desperate. That the humiliation left you willing to accept any scraps of his attention. Marcus is too narcissistic to resist the chance to humiliate you even more." It was risky and painful, but Sarah realized this wasn't just about her. It was about all those women who'd been turned into jokes. It was about her father, wrongly imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, while judges' sons like Marcus committed real crimes without facing consequences. "There's something you don't know about me," Sarah said with a smile David wasn't expecting. "Before my dad got locked up, he taught me programming. Said knowledge was the only thing nobody could steal from me. And during these 3 years, I never stopped learning." David raised his eyebrows. "You have technical skills?" "I have access to the university systems, know social media better than anyone, and I know exactly how these privileged kids think. They underestimate anyone who doesn't wear designer clothes." At that moment, Sarah stopped being just a victim seeking justice. She became a strategist, preparing the most elaborate checkmate Marcus could ever imagine. The plan was taking shape, but what neither David nor Sarah knew, Marcus was about to make a mistake that would make his downfall even more devastating than either of them could have planned. A week later, Sarah sent the message she knew Marcus couldn't resist. "You were right. I really am pathetic. I'm so ashamed I can't even leave my apartment. Please give me a second chance. I promise I'll be worth your time." Marcus took the bait instantly. More than that, he decided to turn Sarah's return into his biggest spectacle yet. He invited everyone from the Poor Girl Hunters group to a party at his penthouse, promising they could all watch him completely break the convict's dot alive. What Marcus didn't know, Sarah had spent the entire week setting up the most elaborate trap of her life. With David's help, she'd installed remote recording apps on her own phone, hidden microscopic cameras in her clothes, and even prepared a device that would automatically copy all data from Marcus's phone once she connected to the penthouse Wi-Fi. The night of the party, Sarah arrived wearing deliberately cheap clothes and an expression of desperation she'd practiced in the mirror. Marcus welcomed her with a cruel smile, surrounded by 15 friends eager to watch the show. "Everyone, meet Sarah, tonight's star," Marcus announced, making her sit in the center of the room like a trophy. "Tell her what you thought of the photos we posted." For 40 minutes, Sarah endured the cruelest humiliations of her life. They made jokes about her father in prison, her poverty, her naivety. Marcus went so far as to make her beg on her knees for him to forgive her for disappointing him on their first date. But while they had their fun, Sarah's device worked. It copied chats, photos, videos, contacts, bank records, everything. And the best part, Marcus was recording everything on his own phone to preserve the moment. That's when Marcus made the fatal error. Drunk on power and whiskey, he decided to reveal his special project. "Sarah, want to know why I picked you? My father, Judge Reynolds, told me about your dad. He said he could make sure he never gets out of prison if I wanted. Imagine that, I can control your whole family's life." The silence was deafening. Even Marcus's friends were uncomfortable with this confession of judicial corruption. But Sarah smiled for the first time that night. "Marcus," she said, standing slowly, "you just confessed to conspiracy to obstruct justice in front of 15 people. And you know what's the funniest part?" She pulled a small device from her pocket and showed the blinking red light. This streamed everything live to the FBI. Oh, and also to the media. And to the Judicial Ethics Board. And to your law school. The color drained from Marcus's face. "You're bluffing." At that moment, sirens started wailing outside. Sarah looked out the window and saw squad cars pulling up in front of the building. "I'm not bluffing. And you know why I knew you'd confess? Because people like you can't resist bragging about your own power." The second plot twist came when David Chun entered the apartment with federal agents. Marcus finally understood who he'd really underestimated. "Sarah Martinez," David announced proudly, "isn't just a brilliant nursing student. She's my new digital security consultant. And you all just walked into the most sophisticated trap I've ever seen." As Marcus was being handcuffed, Sarah addressed his friends watching in shock. "You have 5 minutes to delete everything related to the Poor Girl Hunters group before I hand over your data too. 50 women deserve justice." Marcus screamed as he was led away. "You have no idea who you're messing with. My father will get me out." Sarah smiled one last time. "Your father is being arrested right now for corruption. Seems like underestimating people runs in the family." 6 months later, Sarah walked through the halls of MedTech Solutions not as an intern, but as Director of Digital Security, the youngest executive position in company history. Her salary allowed her to rent a decent apartment and, more importantly, hire the best lawyers for her father's case. The investigation revealed that Judge Reynolds had manipulated dozens of cases over the years, always favoring influential families in exchange for bribes and political favors. Sarah's father was among the first to have his conviction overturned when evidence of his innocence finally came to light. Marcus Reynolds was serving a 3-year sentence for conspiracy, digital extortion, and obstruction of justice. His law school expelled him, and the scandal completely destroyed his chances of a legal career. The Poor Girl Hunters group was dismantled, and all members faced lawsuits from victims. But Sarah's real victory wasn't in punishing her tormentors. It was in the program she'd created with David, a digital protection network for low-income students, offering both tech resources and psychological support for victims of classist cyberbullying. On a Thursday morning, Sarah got a call that made her smile like she hadn't smiled in years. "Sarah? It's Dad. I'm getting out today." She dropped everything and ran to the prison. When she saw her father walking toward the gate, free after 3 years of wrongful imprisonment, Sarah realized that true justice wasn't seeing Marcus behind bars, it was getting her family back. "Mija, they told me you became an important executive," her father said, hugging her tight. "Dad, I became someone who doesn't accept injustice anymore. Not against me, not against anyone." That afternoon, Sarah returned to the same restaurant where it all began. This time she wasn't waiting for someone who might not show up. She was celebrating with David and Emma, who become like a little sister to her. "You know what I learned from all this?" Sarah said, raising her glass of fresh juice. "They tried to break me by using my background against me. But it was exactly that background that gave me the strength to fight." David smiled. "What would you tell someone going through what you went through?" Sarah thought for a moment. "That revenge isn't about destroying whoever hurt you. It's about building a version of yourself they can never touch again. It's about turning your pain into fuel for your evolution." Emma, now 7, raised her hand like she was in school. "Sarah, does that mean bad people help us get stronger?" "Exactly, sweetie. They don't know it, but they give us the greatest gift of all, the chance to discover we're much stronger than we thought." Months later, Sarah was invited to speak at universities about cybersecurity and social justice. She always ended each lecture with the same thought: Marcus Reynolds thought he could humiliate me because he was a judge's son and I was a convict's daughter. Today, he's serving time while I build systems to protect people like me. The difference is he used his privilege to cause pain, and I used my pain to create protection. The audience always stood and applauded, but Sarah knew the real measure of her success wasn't in public recognition. It was in the messages she received from young people who'd found courage to report their own attackers, inspired by her story. Sarah Martinez proved it doesn't matter where you come from, what matters is where you decide to go. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply becoming someone your enemies could never destroy. If this story inspired you to never give up on your dreams, even when the world seems stacked against you, subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming that prove justice, when seasoned with intelligence and courage, always finds a way to prevail.